Hi everyone, it's Heidi back with another live stream with Costume Co. And I'm back with a fantastic guest, someone who's been on the program many times already. My wonderful, lovely friend AU Packmule is here tonight to do this crazy idea that I came up with of doing top 10 items that someone likes in a show or doesn't like in a show. And so this episode, we're doing The Alienist. Hey, John, how are you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me. And I really appreciate all of the great cooperation and comments that you've given me and encouragement over this show that hardly anybody watches for all the wrong reasons. And it's just a crazy name for a great show.
Absolutely. And I think maybe people think it's science fiction
I
because
think
it's
they
the
think it has to
alienist.
do with aliens. Yeah,
Yeah, they think
absolutely.
it's about aliens.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, and actually, I just a little bit of backstory behind this. Oh, sorry, let me, I think my
No,
thing
that
is
was me.
playing
That
here.
was me.
Oh, it was you. Okay. I thought I had it playing. So one of the little backstory about the Alienist is I guess it would have been like last year at some point. John said, "Hey, Heidi, have you seen the Alienist? Costumes are really great." And I'm like, "No." And I didn't know anything about it. And so I said, "Okay, I'll check it out." And so then Jack and I basically binged watched the entire first season like really easily. And it's like a sort of like a procedural. Maybe I'll after we get into this, I'll get you to sort of explain a little bit about it. So yeah, so John had me sold. I was won over, and it didn't work so well with a few other shows. Like for instance, Justin said, "Hey, how do you?" I said to Justin, "I feel so bad because he's like, can you watch Peaky Blinders? Didn't get through it. Watch Vikings. I didn't get through it. But something about this show, it really grabbed me, and I think it just shows John that you have an idea of the type of things that I like and enjoy.
Well, it has a great woman's perspective in the Dakota Fanning character that I think you and I identify with perfectly, plus all of the other historical facts, plus the fact that the costumes are amazing, kind of like Peaky Blinders as far as the costumes go, but this is a much better storyline.
Yeah, I totally agree. Not to take away from those shows, Justin, if you're watching, they're great shows as well. Just this show, strong female lead, definitely spoke to me. A lot of historical characters are in it and real life characters, so it was sort of interesting to see how they were brought to life. So I just before we get going, I just want to let everyone know. I have just. I'm doing, John, I think you know this. I'm doing a series on Game of Thrones on the prequel characters. So it's together with Tatiana Melendez and Vanessa Amnesty, who, by the way, were both my viewers. They were both viewers of mine, and I've gotten to know Tatiana, of course, very very well. She's one of my Game of Queens, and Vanessa and I've gotten to know each other quite well as well. So they came up with this idea. Hey, let's do what the characters in the A Song of Ice and Fire would look like. So we've done 4 episodes. The fourth one just was out this week. So if you guys are interested in that potentially, obviously, John, the next HBO series, which looks like it might be about a Dance of Dragons. Maybe we can chat about that quickly after, because when Tony Teflon was on, we just took a little bit of time at the end just to talk a little bit about that. So that's my little plug for my channel. Thanks for listening. Whenever 30-day reviews is in here, he always gives me a hard time about that stuff. So I'm not sure if he's here. So, John, let's just, okay, so there's 2 seasons. Why don't you just kind of give us a little bit of an overview of the whole show to begin with?
So basically, Theodore Roosevelt, who later became president, is the police chief of New York, and he has a secretary that works for him that actually is um, becomes the first female employee of the police department. That's the Dakota Fanning character, and she is super smart. She's probably smarter than what she ought to be for that position, and she interacts with a psychologist, which back then they called an alienist, and it's because the person that was affected by this psychological disorder was alien in nature as far as their behavior. So the alienist is someone that studies this alien behavior. But then she also had a friend, the John Moore character, that is I don't want to say he's not a narrator. He's
A journalist, like with the
draw.
newspaper.
He
Oh,
draws.
he's an illustrator, sort of.
Illustrator.
Yeah.
That's the word. Yes. So they could have called this TV show The Illustrator, but that would have been terrible. But that's
That would have been
basically
something else.
the storyline. In the first season, they covered a person that was killing boys that were dressed up like girls for prostitution. And then in this season, it's much better, I thought, which is so much harder to do for a freshman year. And they just did a little bit different crime, a little bit different villain, but it's just so deep. And a lot of the characters that you love, they just absolutely draw you into them, get murdered or killed, and so they have to replace them. And that's what they did this year with the fantastic characters.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you don't want to get too attached to anybody in some ways because they'll just pull the rug underneath, from underneath you.
Do you
And
think it helped this year that they called it Angel of Darkness?
Do I think it helped? I don't know much about it. I mean, the only thing I was thinking about it tonight before we went live, that's the name of the second book, from what I understand. But there could be some, themes, at least in season 2, that I was sort of thinking about. So we're probably not going to give away any spoilers in season 2 in case anybody hasn't seen it. But one of the things that it's sort of a procedural as well, right? Like a CSI, but in the Victorian era.
Oh, definitely CSI type. Yes.
But the time period is actually, I've got a picture here of everybody. The time period is actually late 1800s.
I love this picture. It just tells you exactly the time period.
Mm-hmm. And just for anybody who hasn't seen the show or has seen the show, sorry, I have a video, John. I did a video on the costumes, but I didn't actually get to Sarah. I have it. That was one of those. I have it on a back burner. I never got it finished, but I did do one on the guys, and they're magnificent. So season 1 was all done by Michael Kaplan. I talk about him a lot on the channel because he did most of the new Star Wars movies, and of course he did my ultimate favorite movie of all time, Blade Runner. John, you knew that, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course you knew.
Yes. No, you said it.
I'm sure I've mentioned it many times.
Yeah, you do, and for good reason. I mean, It has a lot of the reasons why we love the first season of Westworld. It has a lot of just the thriller that this show has, as far as the excitement goes, and it catches you on the from the left side. So.
Now, you were just saying, so did you prefer season 2 over season 1, the premiere season?
I do.
Okay.
I'll tell you, the main reason is one of the reasons why I really like the show is because it did get better. Because of the storyline, I thought the character of the villain that was played by, oh my gosh, what's her name? Oh, she's so good.
Season 1 or season 2?
Season 2.
Oh, I have her character name. I don't know the actor's name, but I was telling you, she reminded me kind of like a young Nicole Kidman.
Was it Libby Hatch?
Yeah, let me find her here. Here she is. Oh, wait, so I have to add it. There.
Yeah, Libby Hatch is Rosie McEwen. And I don't know how she's been not seen before, but I don't remember seeing her before. And she's just amazing.
I think she's going to be a superstar, to be honest with you. I think she's going to be a big star.
Yeah, The Letter Writer, it looks like, is the only other movie that I would recognize from her past.
Yeah, she. How do I do this? I just added back. Yeah, I think I messaged you. That was one of the things I said to you. I said she really reminds me of a young Nicole Kidman, and I think we're going to see some great things from her.
So that's, like I said, that's the main reason why I think this season was much better. Her character was much better developed, I think, than last year's villain. And she had a much better psychological reason for what she was doing, to the point where you really felt sorry for her, even though she had killed, a score of people or more.
Yeah, I just want to say hi to everybody before we move on. Linda, hi, how are you? I saw you came in really early, and Peter's here. And John and Rebecca are both my compatriots in the Creative Guild, which we did last night. We're
Super
covering.
talented people, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
and John calls you Uncle AU. What's that all about? He cracks me
That is
up.
so old school. A lot of people that have been around, because I'm so old, they think of me like an
Yeah,
uncle, you know, the old uncle.
that's yeah.
That's really nice. It
Except I
was
think you and I are the same age, so maybe I'm
oh,
auntie.
I just
They,
look old.
you know what? By the way, Tatiana and Aaron from the Game of Queens, they call me mom. So that's like.
Nice.
Also, we have Bernie is here. Hello, Suntavia's here. I think I said hi to you, Linda, already. Am I missing
Bernie L.
anybody? Bernie L. Hello.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
being
much,
here.
everyone, for coming in. So, a few people have seen the show, so that's very cool. And Rebecca's read the book, she said.
Did you say hi to Shadowcast Bex?
Oh, yeah, no, that's
One of
Rebecca.
Justin's.
Yes, she's
Okay,
my
perfect, perfect.
she's my co-host, my
Nice.
tri-host.
I didn't hear you say the name, and also Peter Griffin. I don't know if you got to say hi to
Hello,
him.
Peter. Yes. I love Peter.
Giggity.
He supports all the creators. I see him in all the streams. It's amazing. So anyway, all right. So how do you want to do this? Like I know you okay, so for anybody who doesn't know this, poor John went from like his day job, which is like on the other side of the room, and then he had to flip to come, I told him, oh, so you're taking off your workday hat and you're putting on your YouTube hat. So he hasn't really had, even a moment really to do this. Meanwhile, I had 3 hours. I sat outside for a while, we made some dinner. Because
I love this show so much that it doesn't matter. I would be ready to go at a drop of a hat. I
yeah,
mean,
we're
just
3 hours apart.
true, true.
So how do you want to go about this? Do you want to do 10 things or do you just want to talk in general? How do you feel like about approaching this?
Well, I'm going to start by just saying the cast. I mean,
Sure.
the characters, Laszlo Chrysler by himself probably could carry this show. He is so intriguing as far as being a doctor,
Yeah.
knowing that he is such a gray character anyway, because he has a troubled past. Um, and
A
I don't
tragic
think
backstory.
I don't think I'm giving anything away. He basically destroyed his arm. So by self mutilation because of his psychological issues. So he's been able to overcome that and see things in other people that nobody sees. The two Jewish brothers, Lucius and Marcus, I think they're just fantastic. I love that they're able to feed off of each other. They're totally different. One's much more outgoing. Um, Dakota Fanning plays Sarah Howard. She's just, uh, I just
Oh,
love that character.
amazing.
I just love that character.
Oh, her character is fantastic. And I think Dakota Fanning does a great job of it as well. And of course her sleeves, right? She's got these enormous sleeves. You
I
gotta, you gotta,
figured you would.
you gotta do a shout out to those sleeves.
I figured you would pick up on that right away. This year, they really went overboard with the sleeves, and I don't know
Yes,
how true to form that is.
it
But
is
when
very
she
true.
sits down, she
Yeah.
has like earmuffs, automatic
It's true. They
earmuffs
kind of
because
like
they
push.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's actually it is historically accurate. It was interesting because I saw a really great interview that I think that Michael Kaplan did on Golden Derby, and he was talking about it, and that it's just really a very short period of time, only about 3 years, where these giant, enormous sleeves were Lego mutton sleeves were very, very famous. And of course, I recently did Anne of Green Gables, or Anne with an E. I covered Anne with an E, and that was, they were so coveted. She just was like, I have to have those sleeves. So anybody who watches Anne with an E probably know about these enormous puffy sleeves.
Yeah, this is Lucius and Marcus in the background.
Hmm.
And because of the racial profiling that we have going on in America now, I just love the fact that these two guys are probably one of the smartest people on the police department, but they're total outcast. The police department doesn't really want to have them seen as part of them. And they usually are um, kept in hiding as much as possible, whether it be through autopsies or investigating in, back alleys or whatever, just so that they're not seen by the public.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. And this is early days for forensics, if I recall. Is that
Sure.
right? Yeah, so sort of like investigative, Sarah is no, she starts out with the police department though.
Right. She's actually starts with being a secretary, but it works her way through as far as becoming a detective, and then she just goes on out on her own.
Hmm.
Oh, that's a great picture of
I
Teddy
know, isn't
Roosevelt.
it? There's her big sleeves again, and Teddy Roosevelt there. What did you think of the actor who played Teddy?
Oh, he's fantastic. I've seen him in other things, and he did great. Um, it's too bad they couldn't use him this year, but they did mention him in regards to the fact that he is in Congress.
Hmm.
And Sarah pulled the yes. If you want me to call the Congressman Teddy Roosevelt, I'll be glad to use that influence to get me in this location. So it was a good call out.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, oh, thanks, John. John, if you notice, John Devonta saying my slideshow. Like someone was like one day, oh, this is like being in a university lecture. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like, I think that might be an insult. But guys, just so you know, I haven't changed the style of the slideshow. It's the same thing. It's sort of like a purpley color. It's kind of girly. But maybe after this live stream, I'll change it up a little bit. And one of the things also I think I read is that Teddy Roosevelt was the first person to start like the New York Police Department as we know it today. It was founded under him, I believe.
That actually would be news to me.
Okay, I have to
I
double check my
didn't.
notes.
Yeah, it might be set up the way he um, had the detectives over the police patrolmen and that sort of thing. But relatively speaking, I don't remember
Okay,
that being a deciding factor.
I'll just double check. It might have been, or it might have been a costume thing if I recall. Because this was a year ago that I did the video, so I just remember something about this sort of Bobby style uniform that they're wearing here.
Right.
I thought there was something about Teddy Roosevelt starting it, or Theodore Roosevelt, I should say.
No, you can say Teddy. It's okay.
Okay, it's just easier. Okay, so
No,
where do you want to
he
go from? Where do you want to go from here? Do you have
well
other characters you want to talk about?
after the cast, I was just going to talk about the story, the fact
Do you
that
want to talk about John though, or did we talk
we
about him already?
know Luke Evans. You know him from the Hobbit movies. He played Bard. Um, Fantastic actor. He is he plays quite the ladies' man in this. Although the ladies, I wouldn't be too anxious about getting in line, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah. Well, he's got a husband. He's got a husband in real life.
I wasn't going to try to ruin it that hard.
Oh, sorry.
These
I think
ladies,
everybody knows about it.
I'm just
It's a
teasing. I'm just
well-known
teasing.
thing.
I'm just
I thought
teasing.
it was. He's
Well, if you
also in
follow him on Instagram, you
yes.
definitely know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just mentioning this last night. I couldn't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head, but he's in Dracula Untold, which is actually a really good movie.
Hmm.
And I was telling everybody it's the one where, they always take his head off and put Jon Snow's head on it because it looks like Targaryen armor. It's black armor with a red dragon on it. So that's
Yeah.
from the movie Dracula Untold. And the other thing that's funny is that Charles Dance is in it.
Exactly.
So you've seen it then, I gather.
Oh, many times.
Oh, you have? Okay. See, John,
Yeah,
you and I are always like, we have the same taste. It's so awesome.
it is.
John Del Vento saying, imagine wearing a suit every day. I can't imagine. Yeah, really.
Well,
Right?
I think what's so amazing about this is that it's not only a suit; it's authentic costuming looking suit where the material's got to be much denser than what we have today.
Oh yeah, it's very, very luxurious and like this coat, that's like a boucle kind of thing. So everything is and lots of layers because even under this he'd be wearing like a waistcoat and then he'd have a shirt and a collar that's detachable and an undershirt or a singlet. Like, it's just lots of stuff going on there. So yeah, and that hat, by the way, I love this hat so much. That's a Homburg, by the way, if anybody wants to know.
It's really interesting because at this time is when they really started going away from the beaver
Hmm.
top hat type.
Yes.
So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got John, and then any other characters you wanted to do a shout out to?
Well, we have a new love interest for Dr. Chrysler this year. I'm trying to find her name real quick.
Karen. Karen Stratton? I've got it on the screen. Do you see it?
I don't, but bear with me just a second here.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, Karen is. I wouldn't have called her Karen just because she's a professor and a doctor equal
Yeah.
for Chrysler. So I was just trying to find her real name, but
You know what's funny though? In IMDb, and it kind of bothered me. They label her as Karen Stratton, not Professor Stratton or Doctor Stratton.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
sure,
So
sure,
I added the professor to the front of it just to
nice.
Karen. Yeah, she's not a Karen though. She's not a
No,
Karen
no,
at all.
she's not even close.
Not even close.
She's
Yeah.
she's probably one of those people that they could spin this off and show some kind of dominatrix lady that
Oops.
solves crimes. You know what I mean?
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this isn't a very good picture of her, but she's really stunning, I thought. Like she's
Mhm.
slightly older, probably in her early 40s, but she's very stunning. And I think Jack was telling me that she's actually a British actor putting on an American accent, which is very impressive. Well, same with
Yeah,
Luke Evans, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
Luke is definitely
she
English.
does. She looks like a slightly older Eva Green, as Bernie was saying.
That's a great analogy. I didn't see her
Mhm.
say that, but that's fantastic analogy. And
Yeah, and actually, this is sort of the same era as Penny Dreadful, so that's actually a really great comparison.
except Penny Dreadful this year was dreadful.
Oh, I
Oh
haven't.
my.
You know what? I mean the Eva Green one. I haven't seen it. Is that
Yes.
bad?
This year, yes. Probably the worst series I've seen all 2020
Oh
is
no! Oh my gosh!
the
And
Los
what's her
Angeles
name is
one.
in it from Game of
Yeah,
Thrones?
exactly.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Beyond disappointing. They
Yeah,
really
because
tried.
I adored Penny Dreadful, like the 3 seasons, and I was
Oh
so
man.
heartbroken when they canceled it.
Yeah, if you want to see an LA film noir type of show, go with Perry Mason. We're old
Mm,
enough to know the Raymond Burr Perry Mason, but
yes.
this is so deep and so dark that it's very similar to The Alienist as far as the storyline, but it's much better.
I think Rebecca. I'm not sure if you had seen that, but I've had a couple of people talk to me about it, and especially they love the costumes and the actor in it is from the Americans, I believe. He's
Right,
actually
it's the
British.
Russian
Yeah,
version
they're
of
like the spies.
yeah.
So yeah, so definitely I'm gonna check that out. I've been binge watching so many shows. Like right now, of course, we're doing
Sorry.
Lovecraft Country. So
Yeah.
so many good shows to watch. All right, so where do you want to go from here, John?
All right, let's talk about the format. This year was so different. Normally, last year we had one episode per week. We skipped a week, maybe two, but basically it was every Sunday. It was on, and it was an hour long. This year they went totally haywire, and they did 2 hour episodes or 2 episodes per Sunday, whichever you want to call it. But you had four of them, and then it just cut off. I mean, it was the end of the season, which was probably the big disappointment for me. I thought for sure we would get a fifth episode or
Yeah,
a
they
fifth
could have
night.
done. It did feel like I was surprised that they only did 8 episodes, and
Well, this day and age, I can understand why.
mhm.
I really can.
So do you feel that they could have fleshed it out a bit more? The
No,
mystery.
that's one of the things that's so great about this year is that the storyline up until the last 10 minutes was perfect as far as the pacing. The last 10 minutes, I thought they just missed a little bit, if there's a miss at all,
Hmm.
the way they say goodbye. But everything else, I thought the pacing was great. The character interaction was great. The costumes obviously were off the charts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now it is. We were saying it is a different costume designer this year. Did you find like the visuals on the show were different, like just at all?
None.
Yeah,
Other than them being darker or dark.
that's what I
Um,
was gonna say. It felt a little darker.
yeah.
The story, like, see, like, okay, as serious and awful as season one was, the story, the subject matter in season two is even more
Yeah,
disturbing.
nobody wants to find out about babies dying or
Yeah.
being killed or in any way mistreated.
Now,
And
John, do
that,
you remember back in the 70s, there used to be dead baby jokes? Do you remember the dead baby jokes back in the 70s or 80s? Maybe this is a Canadian thing.
I don't think so. But I'm kind of a nerd, so maybe I
Yeah.
just don't
If anybody
remember.
in the chat remembers the dead, it was like a thing that kids would do. We would do these dead baby jokes. It was just really bad. It was kind of like, what do you call it? What's red and, black and red and white and red all over, or frog in a blender. Like, it was just these stupid, really dumb jokes. But, anyways. But what I said to Jack was when we were watching season two, I said, if the kids had been younger, I wouldn't have been able to watch this show because I couldn't watch CSI or any of those types of shows dealing with any kind of death with children at all when the kids were little. But now that they're older, it's not as horrifying to me. But I wouldn't have been able to watch this because of that subject matter. But they did really a great job. Angel over says she remembers. It was dead baby jokes though, not just baby jokes. John's now going to be like, I'm kind of worried about Heidi. I don't know. I thought she was okay, but now I'm a
She
little
has a secret
concerned.
sickness.
Exactly. It was crazy Canadians. Oh, we had the diarrhea. Yeah, we had the diarrhea song. We had all that. Yeah, totally. So, all right. So where do you want to go from here? I'm letting you direct.
Oh, Moni G's here. Hi, how you doing, Moni?
Hi, Moni. If we missed anybody in the chat, just say hello and we'll shut you out.
Yeah, Angel
And
Lover.
Plexi Bertrand is here too.
Oh,
Hello. And Lady
nice,
Starfell.
nice. Plexi just sent me the graphic novel for the Old Guard with Charlize Theron, and I am
Oh,
so excited to get that because I thought that was a great show too.
oh, that's awesome. That was a great show.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you come back again. I know the last time I saw you is when we were doing, I think we were on Kyle's show together and we did
The
Westworld.
Witcher.
Oh,
Oh,
no, we did The Witcher. What did we do?
oh, we've done so much. It's hard to say. It feels like we're just finding excuses just to get together.
We do. We want to just hang out.
So let me ask you this:
Sure.
why is the retired police chief so involved with this case, or why do
Um,
you think I should say?
I have no idea. I thought it was just because he's just well, I think he's ambitious. I have a picture of him. Uh he's of a lower birth, but it seems like he's aspiring to want to be. Here's a picture of him. Higher born, like he wants to be a part of society, but obviously he's not. And of course, they make him know that at every turn, pretty much, right, John?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he
Is
thinks he's on their level, he is put down without question.
This actor though fantastic?
Yeah, he's Buffalo Bill, isn't he?
Oh, in what show?
From um,
Oh my
Silence of the
God, is that
Lambs.
him?
Exactly.
Oh my God, head explosion. Oh my God.
Yeah.
See? I mean, obviously he's wearing a stash.
A
Like
very
that's
appropriate stash, actually. I mean, from the
it's one of
time.
those the type of guy who would tie a girl to a train track. Yeah, no, but a great character. And they do a really good job actually of showing the classes.
What was the other show he did that was really good? Monk? where the detective was so germaphobe.
Oh, Tony. What's the name of the actor? Tony Shalhoub. Is it Tony Shalhoub, guys? He's now on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Monk.
Oh yeah, her mom, her dad, right?
The dad, yeah.
Right. You're right, exactly. That's another great show.
Wow, I'm blown away that he was actually in Westworld, and I didn't even realize
No,
that.
Silence of the Lambs.
Hmm.
Silence of the Lambs.
Oh my! Oh, sorry. He's from Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, he was Buffalo Bill.
Oh, I thought he was the guy from Westworld. The guy.
Rub the lotion on the skin.
Oh my lord!
Who'd you think he
Holy,
was?
the guy who did the. I thought he was the guy, the Buffalo Bill. He was like the guy in the locker downstairs that
close.
Robert would hang out with and talk to.
I would love that.
That would have been cool too, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
So he's putting on this accent then.
Oh, definitely.
Because it sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought he was a British actor. He does a very good job.
Well, he fooled you. Let's put it that way.
He did. Plexi Bertrand's asking if you've seen Peaky Blinders.
I've tried to watch it like you and have not been able to finish an episode. Very similar to The Expanse. I've had a hard time getting through that, and Dark is another one that I've had a very hard time completing an episode.
I got through Dark, but I was telling when Justin was on the show last week, it took me about 3 episodes to get into it. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're having to read subtitles and listen, or unless you're watching it with dubbing over, but even then you still probably would have to watch it maybe with the subtitles on. So I think that it makes it a little more stressful. But something about Peaky Blinders, I don't know, like I found it intriguing, but it just, I tried, I watched like 2 or 3 episodes and it didn't like grab me.
Did you find it too Godfather-ish?
Yeah. And I think maybe the lack of female characters for me. I know there's a few, but I just didn't have that. Let's say we're Penny Dreadful. We got you got the female, and this one, of course, you got Sarah. And then of course there's lots of stuff going on with between you're thinking Sarah and John. John's obviously very smitten with her, but then you're thinking is there maybe something with her and Laszlo? You're not quite sure, and all the politics that's going on there, the sexism. So I really. The classism, I just really enjoyed all of that about this show.
I just definitely think the racism, the classism, the whole fact that you've got a police officer that's just a beat cop that's been there for 20 years, and once he's dead, then like nobody cares.
Yeah,
it's like
it's very sad.
Crazy. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I when I first watched season 1 of The Alienist, I was watching the Frankenstein Chronicles at the same time, which takes place in England, and there was a lot of parallels for me in terms of how it would have been to work for the police department, how you would have been treated by the upper classes, because in that Sean Bean, and you get treated very badly, and probably don't get paid very well as well. Bernie says The Expanse is great, but you got to watch 4 episodes. I mean, the acting isn't great, but it's a sci-fi space show. Laugh out loud. It's really cool. The writing is good.
I keep hearing that, and I keep trying. I honestly,
you need to have Jack sitting next to you. See, this is how I do. So I sit next to Jack, my husband. Everyone knows who that is, I think. Yeah. And I'll say, Jack, what's going on here? I'm totally lost. And he explains it to me. It was so funny because when I went to I interviewed the costume designer, and I had to turn to Jack a few times and go, yeah, I remember Jack. Oh, sorry, what happened this part, Jack? Like even in front of the costume designer, I was still kind of a little bit lost on some of the stuff because there were just so many things going on. Lady Starfell says this season Expanse was disappointing to me. I actually really enjoyed it. I think it was one of my more favorite seasons. She says
Alienist?
They're all talking about The Expanse now.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
We've shifted gears. Okay.
So, so Thomas, is there anything else you wanted to say about him? Thomas Burns?
The
police. former police officer.
Well, I basically was just trying to get your understanding as far as why he was still involved in, and I do understand the fact that he is ambitious, but do you think he was trying to follow in Teddy's possible
Like
um,
hoping to be like a successor to him.
as far as like moving to Washington D.C. and
Oh, I don't know because the thing is, Teddy is also from money, right? He's from a very well-to-do family,
right. Plus, he has the military
and he has
active.
the military as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy was the police chief before Teddy.
Hmm.
So I'm just wondering if that's why he would still hang around after the fact that he's been kind of demoted socially after Teddy was there.
Hmm.
So I just felt like he he was just a hanger oner, and
Yeah, I
he
feel
did a
like
good
in.
job of stirring things up.
Mhm.
But I just didn't get why he was still around.
I felt like this season, I think he might have been put there as a foil for Sarah, like just to be like a, a nuisance to her. Just to sort of
You got to
because
have a
at
good
one point they're
antagonist,
forced to
right?
work together, right? But and he's like, she's talking down to him, and he's probably never had a woman do that to him before. Put him in his place.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's that's probably a really good point. But yeah, Ted Levine did a great job. I couldn't say enough.
I'm gonna have to go and look at his IMDb then, because I'm just totally blown away by that.
Yeah, just expand the cast and go down to um his character, Chief
Because
Thomas Krantz.
now that you've mentioned it, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I can totally see it.
Yeah,
It's so funny. Someone was mentioning Sam Neill, but Sam Neill is in he's in Peaky Blinders, I think.
that would make sense. Yeah, he's definitely not in this show.
No,
I love that guy.
no, me too. He had a really fun YouTube video about his wine vineyard.
Oh yeah,
Or maybe it was like a little, yeah, it was like, or maybe it was like a show on Netflix. It was just like him kind of driving around on his tractor in his vineyard and just going into town and having lunch with the locals. And he's just like a regular guy, and everyone likes him because he's lovely. And then he plays his ukulele. He's just like,
was The
he's
Omen
just,
the first movie that you saw him in?
uh, yes. Okay. It was either that or Dead Calm with Nicole Kidman, speaking of.
Hmm.
So what about you?
Yeah, definitely The Omen.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying in that.
Yeah, super scary.
Yeah.
Little kids scare me now. No, just kidding.
Well, yeah, and I read the books too, and of course, The Omen. Oh my God, so terrifying.
Hmm.
Anyone think that Sarah Howard will be pregnant in season 3 of The Alienist? Well, that's a
That's funny you
good
should say that.
question.
Yeah.
That's a
Tell us
good
why.
question.
Tell us why it's a good question.
Who, me or them?
Yeah. No, you.
Well, I think it's a good question because, all right, so there's a bit of a love triangle happening here. So we've got our lovely Sarah Howard, who is played by Dakota Fanning, and John and her. What's their history? Like they've known each other since they were quite young.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, I haven't put them on the screen. Yeah, add it to the
he
screen there.
knows her family and
Hmm.
was not involved when her dad committed suicide, but he was around at that time. And so when that happened, she relied on him a lot more than now. But they've grown apart since then and now come together because of Dr. Chrysler.
Yeah, and he's pretty much smitten with her like right from episode 1, I think. I mean, he is a ladies' man. There's that one scene, if I remember, where he like, I don't know. There's just something I remember him like going to some kind of club or whatever. He's just like totally a ladies' man, drinking, smoking. I think, but he comes from he's a socialite, but he does have a job, like you were saying. He works for the New York Times. He does all their illustrations, which at that time, because they didn't use photography, which I was laughing at one point because at one in season two they would take a photo of somebody and then in for the paper, but then it would be an illustration in the paper. And I'm like, I guess they couldn't take the picture and put it in the paper in those days. They had to do an illustration of it.
I'm sure the printing press was a little different than it is now. So
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so there is what so she it's kind of like a little bit unrequited. Like she's a career woman. She doesn't want to give up her career. She in season two she opens up her own agency. I've got a little picture of her and her team. It's three women, a 3-person agency. She's the head of the agency. And she's dealing with a lot of it's sort of funny because at the beginning she's dealing with mostly female things like rich ladies who suspect their maids of stealing from them, like really kind of petty little types of things. So those are the types of clients she's getting, and she really wants something meaty and juicy to sink her teeth into. And of course, she ends up with this very, horrific abduction, murder type thing. But in the meantime, there's a little bit of a love story, but part of it, the problem is that John is in love with her, but at the same time, Sarah has decided she doesn't want to get married and have kids. So he takes up with this girl named Violet, who's a socialite. And I love how her name is Violet, and they always put her in Violet.
but what's so special about her? About Violet?
Her uncle, I think is it her uncle? It works for owns the competing newspaper, which I think is a real paper in real life, whereas John works at the New York Times, which is more of a like his
People,
his is like the sort of like the rag, whereas John works for like the legitimate one, and he's been wanting John to come over there and work at his paper. So, but she's like sort of she can do no wrong in his eyes, like she's just like perfection. But John is kind of like in some ways he's sort of using her. I feel like he's not very fair to her in a lot of ways because she's obviously crazy about him, but he is sort of married to his job and he still has these strong feelings for Sarah. So they end up having a little bit of a like one night together, like one of those sort of things where they come together. And so, you're always like, well, they probably didn't use protection. When I'm watching a show, I'm always thinking, well, that may not work out well. Like, so yeah, so we don't know if there might be a baby that comes with it. But at the end of season two, basically, he stays with Violet because he finds out that Violet is having a baby, right? So, but we
well,
don't
keep in
know.
mind that her uncle is actually William Randolph Hearst.
Oh, yeah, sorry. He's
Which
William
is,
Randolph Hearst. Yes. So
right,
he's a real life person,
right, which was
her
in
godfather.
Deadwood, which I thought was totally amazing.
I haven't seen Deadwood.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to spoil that one for you. Yeah. So he's from the Hearst dynasty.
Yes. And so someone's saying that he's actually, oh yeah, she's his ward. So what did you think about the fact that her name is Violet and she's always wearing purple colors, John?
That's totally cool with me. I have
Mm-hmm.
no problem with that because I like Scarlett O'Hara, and
Yeah,
she definitely did the same thing.
she did.
Would have loved the fact that you know it's the story between the fact that you've got this wealthy guy that could buy um, John Moore over and over and over again. He would have been set for life if he would have just worked for his um, fiance's ward, and then nothing would have he wouldn't have had to worry about anything. But no, he wanted to stick it out because everybody thinks he's soft. Everybody thinks he's not a serious writer or a serious journalist
Mm-hmm.
or a serious illustrator. I mean, who does illustrations? Who? I mean, that's not a real man's job. And so he really wanted to do that. But his connection with Sarah was just too much for him to overcome. Plus, I think he was really looking for an excuse not to marry Violet. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that actually that kind of makes sense. I think he kept turning to Sarah several times throughout season one, kind of like, if you say the word, I'm done with that. I sort of felt like that. Like
Yeah.
she was sort of, he had her on the back burner, but he would have easily have moved her to the front burner had she said the word. You know what I mean?
Yep. For sure.
What did you think of the love scene between the two of them, John? If you're not too embarrassed to talk about it.
I'm not, and I'm. First of all, Dakota Fanning is like always going to be 12 years old to me.
It's true. Yeah. I have a
So
picture of her here.
it's kind of like Maisie Williams
It's
when
like
she did
Arya
that
Stark.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard. But
And
I
Luke
do
Evans
know
is quite a bit older than her as well in real life, IRL.
ridiculously. Yeah, yeah, 100%
But
agree.
I did, one of the things I have to say I loved was seeing her hair down, like literally down, because throughout the show, there's a really great juxtaposition between her and Violet. So Violet always has the soft, ringlets and curls, and she's always got her hair done very, feminine,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And all the bows and the lace and the, like I say, the violet. But then Sarah is no nonsense. She has her hair. It's a little bit matronly, actually, at many times.
She's very suppressed, isn't she?
She's very suppressed. This is from season 1 here. So she oftentimes have like a school marm, you know? She's doing sort of like the haberdashery type dress with the masculine, which was very popular, by the way, with the
Yeah, if
necktie
she
and
could wear
so on.
pants, she probably would.
She would, yeah, or split skirt. So, so she's got this thing. So they've got a thing. So it was so nice to see when, like, she pulled her hair down. And it was all like, oh, it's like beautiful, lying in bed with it all like it was very romantic. It was very, heroine like. The best love scenes are the great Irish show called Normal People on Hulu. I don't know that show, you guys. You guys always bring to me some really interesting shows.
Leave it to this audience to know what's good sex and what's not good sex.
Yeah.
Right?
I forgot that I should be putting, John, you're not here, so I should be putting some things. So John says, not a real man job if I had a nickel.
For every
For every
time you
one
hear
time
that,
someone said that.
John, you got the best job in the world. I don't know. Yeah.
Plexi says, I don't think of her as suppressed, but as severe.
Ooh. Tell
Well,
me
I think
more.
she's, sorry, go ahead, John.
No, expand because I definitely think that she is suppressed because of her father's suicide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I did find her clothes got darker this year. And I was wondering, did you find that? Did you find like everything seemed to just get a little bit darker on her? Like last season, she had, quite a few like sort of brighter outfits like this type thing, lighter linens and so on, a little bit prettier. This year, at one point I was like, in fact, John Moore says at one point, like, you look like you're going to a funeral. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, we're going to it's kind of like a stakeout, like it's the equivalent of a Victorian stakeout. They're going to a stakeout, so she's like, I'm dressing in black. We're going to like a stakeout. It'd be like if it was Emma Watson, she'd be wearing a black cat suit or something.
Shadow cloak.
Yeah, shadow cloak. Yeah, normal people have one of those people that makes sure love scenes don't become problematic. What? Oh, I don't understand that. You have to explain to me what that's all about.
In the show that she's talking about, that's on Hulu, with the really good.
Oh, okay,
That's called
okay,
Normal People.
okay.
That's
Got it. So,
But I like this severe part because everything about Sarah Howard is severe.
mm-hmm.
I mean, there is never anything out of place between her employees, the way she interacts with her clients, her employee, just other detectives. She's spot on the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Except for the one slip up with, no pun intended, with John.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I have to ask you a question. When you saw the guns on her wall, when they made a point about that, did you think, okay, oh, that's not going to end well?
No, because I'm a gun guy. I've been around guns my whole life, so having guns on the wall is just another. It's just commonplace for me. So
Oh, no, I don't
it
mean
didn't.
that. Sorry. I should say when the nurse makes a comment about the guns, did you think, "Oh dear, I wonder did that
Mm,
any alarm bells go off for you?"
no,
Really? Oh,
no,
okay.
because she
I
was
said to Jack,
capable of
those
killing
guns are going to get
people.
used. Those guns are going to get used.
Well, I had a feeling that that might be, but
Oh, you did. Okay. Okay.
as far as the villain goes, she was capable of killing people with her fingernails. So
That's
that
true.
that
She
didn't.
was. Yeah, there was some like crazy stuff too. Like some of the like what did you think about some of the science like regarding like the charcoal and absorbing the poison and all that type of thing and the way that she would use like she would transmit the poison.
Exactly, and
Wasn't that crazy?
keep yourself from getting poisoned. Yeah, actually, in a book series that I'm reading now by Patrick Rothfuss. I don't know if you saw, me and Justin did a video on him, um, the King Killer Chronicles. In that story, the character eats a lot of charcoal because he's an alchemist, um,
Oh.
by trade. So he's always getting himself in trouble or people around him in trouble.
Well, years ago, my girlfriend, she got like the stomach flu or stomach poisoning. Sorry,
Hmm.
like food poisoning, and she went to the pharmacy and got charcoal. You can buy it in capsules now.
Yeah,
But in the show, she's using it and just like kind of eating it, and then it gets all over her teeth and everything. Oh my gosh! The thing that kind of bothers me, I was saying this. I think I was saying this last night, is that a lot of the shows that get nominated for Emmys, I mean, not that it really amounts to much anyway, I don't think. Unfortunately, these types of shows they get kind of shut out. And I always feel it's always too bad because the acting in this is amazing,
yeah, I
especially
think
like you were saying, Daniel Brühl, who, he
absolutely.
could do this show alone, like on his own, because if anybody doesn't know who he is, by the way, he's in Inglorious Bastards. And I saw another movie with him and, Hermione, the actress who plays Hermione, a crazy movie that takes place in Germany. And he's actually German Spanish. So I was reading this interview where he says when he auditioned for Inglorious Bastards, he screwed up the English part of the audition. So they said, "Oh, well, you can speak some French, can't you?" And he's like, "Sure." But really, he's basically German and Spanish. So he says he tried to do the French thing. And then Quentin was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing," or something like that. And so but he thought he wasn't going to get the job. He thought he was really, really bad at it. But he's really great in that movie if anybody's seen it.
He was also in Rush, which is probably
Mm,
something that a lot of people
yes.
don't see. Chris Helmsworth was the main driver. He was the alternate driver that nobody liked. And true to life, if you put him and the real driver together, you probably could not tell them apart.
That's
They're
amazing.
very, very good.
Yeah.
He was also in Civil War, in Captain America: Civil War. Um, in that movie too. So there's a lot of stuff he's been in.
One of the things he talked about his costume, that it really, really helped him because, you kind of, when you get into these types of clothes, like, the collars are starched, they're not soft. And then you have to actually wear like a button and fasten it to the shirts themselves. And everything is like a lot of layers and procedures to getting dressed. And you got the pocket watch and he has a cane. And I love the way he uses the cane in the show. John, what do you think about like how he uses it to tap on doors and things like that?
He is just very good. I mean, the character is just fantastic. Every single thing about him, uh, just the way he does his hair. I mean, just top to bottom, he just plays the part really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he does. And his voice, I think this is like maybe a conscious thing. Obviously, he's supposed to be He's an alienist, but he's also an alien, not an illegal alien, but he's an immigrant, right? And so he also, like the two Jewish forensics guys, he has his own. He has to deal with his own sort of discriminations as well and prejudice.
Yeah,
And
maybe we
part,
should bring in Bruce Bolton to
oh
show
yeah,
you
yeah, let's get him in.
his American counterpart. We're
Yeah,
going to
here
get
he
to
is.
we'll get back to Lucius Plexi, just to let you know. She
Okay.
wants to go back to Lucius in a minute.
Oh, okay. We can go back to Lucius after. Yeah. So, uh, oh, and it was really interesting. So the actor who plays Bruce Bolton, he puts on an American accent. It's really interesting in this show because you've got actors who are British playing Americans and Americans playing British and vice versa. So it's sort of, it was kind of fun to see that. And
When
also,
you were introduced to him, weren't you thinking he was the bad guy?
absolutely, I did. I certainly didn't think he was completely an innocent guy, though. Like, he's definitely a gray character, right? I mean, because the story starts off with the execution of this woman that was believed to have killed her child, even though it's largely circumstantial. The baby has gone missing.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, she did it. But also, he's done some unscrupulous things. He's a doctor that helps women, poor women, but at the same time, he sort of makes the children sometimes disappear in a way,
Well, he
or
not only takes the baby, but he gives them. Um,
to rich families, or
no, who he gives them to is not really the important part. The fact that he takes them from the mother because they're pregnant, and then he sterilizes them.
oh yeah,
So
yeah,
so that way the gentlemen callers
yes,
can have their way without worrying about
yeah,
her getting
and
pregnant again.
that's something that's been done. That's something that's been done for a long time. And not even just wayward mothers, but also women mentally ill, women like in institutions. Like, it's been a sort of a commonplace for sterilization against your will. And it's even, from my understanding, I was thinking about it because now what they do is they'll make you get an implant, against your will. So there's been some, discussion. Is that even like constitutional? You know, is that something you should be able to do? So it was really interesting, the whole storyline. And I didn't even. This is probably based off of something that's true regarding the mistresses who
Well,
themselves.
when you see his hospital, I
Hmm.
just kept thinking of Arkham, um, the crazy house from Batman.
Yeah.
With the gates and everything. It just reminded me of that.
Yeah, no, I thought for sure he might have been the bad guy, or that the woman that worked with him, the crazy lady that worked with him. She was kind of crazy, or she was a little bit, you
Oh,
know.
the one that gets killed. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
It,
thought I thought she might have been.
she
She
was
just
crazy for
seemed.
sure.
She seemed kind of unhinged, you know.
Sure, because she wanted to satisfy him
She
and
did.
get his approval more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, I liked it because I thought he was a little bit gray. It wasn't like a complete like bad guy, and that's what's sort of good about this show is that a lot of the characters, even the heroes, have their flaws and their foibles.
Oh, yeah. Every
Yeah,
single
she's
one
like
of
a
them.
Nurse Ratchet.
That's a good one. Very good, for sure. No, I thought it was a good character add for this season,
Hmm.
um, being that he needed to be Dr. Chrysler needed to be held accountable for his actions and
Hmm.
kind of suppressed in a way because of the fact that he is an alien. He's not a natural citizen, and the fact that he was taking care of children in this wayward home.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I felt we're it's interesting because obviously when we're looking at sort of the home that Laszlo is running for children, and of course we're looking at it sometimes with our own modern eyes, and I kind of did see when I was like watching him do the magic tricks, I was like, I had a bad feeling about it. You know what I mean? When I saw him doing the choking thing, because as a mom, I would immediately say, don't ever put anything around your neck. That's sort of like one of those things. Like if I see kids do certain things, like Graydon, my son, he put his head in a plastic bag one time, and even though I know it was probably a pretty good chance he probably would never suffocate with it, I'm like, don't ever put your head in a plastic bag. I mean, it even says on the bag. And you know
It's
why
like
they
one
put
of
it
those
on the bag, right? Because
because
someone did it once
yeah.
and probably suffocated or something. So I'm always telling, my kids don't do so. One of them would be don't ever put a tied knot around your neck. And so when I saw that, I immediately was like, yeah. And and it's interesting because he's not a dad, right? He's a therapist. And so he may not think the way he doesn't seem to. I've noticed he doesn't think the way a parent would think, or even a guardian. He acts like a doctor or would think, more like an analyst would think.
Yeah, the first season he really shows his um, anti-racist. I mean, his um, housekeeper and
Yeah, I've
also
got pictures of
lover
them.
was Indian, a Native American, and his houseman was black, and he treated him like a brother. Um, other than the fact that they worked for him.
Yeah,
Uh,
so there's Cyrus.
oh, he's so good.
He's
He was
amazing. Who in season 2 ends up going off on his own and opening up a bar. Not in the nicest area of town though.
that's I mean how that's very typical though because no one would let him
Yeah, he
open
wouldn't
it
be
up
able to allow he wouldn't be allowed to
socially.
open it up.
Yeah.
And his
Mhm.
daughter works at
Oh,
the
that's right. It
works at
was
the
his daughter.
bar,
Hmm.
but she's an aspiring journalist, and so which is what did you think of? So there's this one scene where John says, "Oh yeah, I can see if I can get you a job in here at the New York Times." But he talks to his editor before he even brings her in. But of course, as soon as he brings her, the editor's jaw drops on the floor. Oh my God, it's a black girl, right?
Exactly.
So, but it's already been kind of taken care of. So he's like, oh yeah. But it's sort of funny, like John and his he's almost got this sweet innocence about him where he was not even thinking that would even be an issue. And then so there's Mary, which was Laszlo's love interest in season 1. And I think she's mute. Is she not deaf mute?
Correct.
Is she in Westworld? I know we were
No.
talking about Westworld.
I'm so sorry. You're right. She is. Yeah.
Yeah, so she plays the love interest in which is the best episode I think of Westworld for me, but I can't remember what it's called.
Akachita. Um,
Yeah, Akacheta?
Akichita. Sorry.
Ikichita. Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
So, yeah, so she's Native like Native American or indigenous. That's what we say in Canada, by the way. We say indigenous
That's
or
because you're
First
so
Nations.
nice. Canadians are nice, so they say
We try to
indigenous.
be nice, but we have just as much of a terrible history. I always tell that to people. Hey, Tatiana. Somebody probably suffocated from a plastic bag once. Girl, you're giving humanity too much credit. No, I'm just saying anytime you see something on a label, it means because someone's done that before, right? The reason why there's a warning on it is because someone's done that in the past and, they've had to put it on there just to protect their asses kind of thing. From yeah, so she's a beautiful actress. She's sort of and then also he has like a ward. He has like this young man who is a big part of the storyline in season 1. So this season they've swapped out some of the characters for some of the new characters. It's kind of like a soap opera in that way, like on Santa Barbara or As the World Turns,
Or a
you have a
football
line.
team.
Or a football team. You'd have
You
a
got
love interest, and then, next season you have to have a different love interest.
to have a fresh lineman every once in a while.
Or James Bond movie. It's always got to have a different
Exactly.
Bond girl, right?
That is for sure. Yeah. Tony Teflon's here. Hello, Tony.
Oh, hey, Tony.
Thanks for being here.
The Dawn is in the building. Now, Tony, I don't know if you've seen this show. If anybody is in the chat and has seen this show, why don't you do a hashtag yes, and then we'll know that you've seen it.
I'm going to guess Tony has not watched this before. He's just here because he loves you and me.
Aww. I didn't even ask Tony if he'd be on our next creative scale. They just sort of mentioned that he's coming, and then I was like, "Oh, Tony, I probably should have asked you first." But I think John's talked to you, and you're going to be. Oh, he hasn't seen it. I think Tony would like it.
See, I had a feeling you hadn't seen it, Tony.
Now, did you want to go back to talking about Lucius?
Well,
Someone
Plexi
was saying,
asked us to do that, and
okay.
Lucius is the one in the background.
No, Lucius
So,
is the one in the front. Uh,
sorry,
Marcus, this is Marcus.
my bad.
No problem.
Lucius actually has a love interest this year, who's actually a employee of Sarah's, and
Oh, it's great.
talk about gray characters. This guy is super white knight in the beginning, season one. He's super smart. He figures out which weapon they used for the murder weapon. Um, he's just fantastic. But this year, that's one of the reasons why I asked you about the old police chief, is because he influences Lucius to give up
Yes.
information, and
Well, he
goes a little
threatens
wrong.
Marcus though, right? He's kind of doing it under duress.
Well, that's the way slimy police officers work, right?
Hmm. And this is the girl on
Not
the
all
left
police
side.
officers are slimy, but
Yes.
that's the way slimy police officers work.
So the girl on the left here in the black jacket, she's the love interest, and they're so cute together. I love the two of them together.
Yeah, they're a great couple. The lady in the black sweater.
It's
I
sort of like
don't
a black
remember her
jacket.
name. Yeah, yeah. You
I
know more about the
it was
costumes.
like it's something like Betty or Mary or something. I can't remember.
But she ended up working for the Roose Bolton character undercover, and I thought it was just
Hmm.
a great way of getting information, and found some information on the main villain. So
Leanna is saying, "I'm still not over his ending. I was shocked." I think she's talking about Marcus. Poor Marcus, she's saying. Yeah.
well, yeah, that's very sad.
Hmm.
Melanie Field is her name.
That's the name of the character?
No, that's the name of the actress that
Oh, the actress,
played.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, and
I don't know.
lots of really great supporting actors. I don't think there's anybody we
Mhm.
miss. Oh, one of the persons I was going to mention that I really loved was JP Morgan. This is from last season. And this is Michael, oh, he's from Starship Troopers. Michael something or other.
He's been in everything. Yeah.
I love him. But one of the things that when I was doing the research on it, this is one of the things I recall is he had like this enormous bulbous nose. So this is not even an exaggeration. I'm having problems talking tonight. I don't know what's going on.
Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside. And so if anybody's seen Starship Troopers, he plays like the commander. He's fantastic. But yeah, like you said, I think he's been in all kinds of movies. So he has this prosthetic nose, and apparently J.P. Morgan was very defensive about it. And I read this thing that someone tried to take a picture of him, and he punched them for trying to take a picture of him because he was so embarrassed by his looks. Although here
Well,
he's
if
getting his
anybody
picture
could get
taken.
away with it, it would be J.P. Morgan, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then there he is standing next to Teddy Roosevelt. The
If you look at
costumes
his
is his.
IMDb, it's just goes on page after page.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those great treasures. The I looked and I looked at pictures of like J.P. Morgan and pictures of because obviously there was photography and pictures of Teddy Roosevelt, and they did a really great job matching their clothes and everything. They did, he wears the little pince nez glasses that go on your on the bridge of your nose kind of thing.
Another good reason to have an illustrator instead of a photographer.
It
You
could be
could
more flattering.
It'll be erased out, yeah.
I actually love this costume here and the bowler hats. Like you can see this is a great photo too because you can see the tweed
Hmm.
on both their outfits.
Yeah, the
And
density of the fabric alone has to be 3 or 4 times what we have in our current clothes.
Yeah, well,
I
they
mean,
used to also
so
pad. They would pad them out too, to give it sort of that rounded shoulder. This is called like a sack suit, so they would actually put like what's called Heimel on the inside, and it would give it that. I've seen like when I used to work in the costume house, we would get vintage pieces in, and you were like, "Oh my God, this is so thick." So back to what people were talking about, how hot that would be in like you wouldn't wear something like this in the summer. Like it would be probably more lightweight, like linen or something. But yeah, it would be really hot. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, Tony, the costumes are beautiful.
tell me what the layers would be on the women's costumes.
Well, I've got this picture here of Sarah. Let me just find it again. Um, Sorry, guys. I have it here somewhere. Oh, here she is. So this is the scene. This is after the love scene. She's braiding her hair. So she's already partly dressed. And normally you'd have like a lady maid help you dress, but she's wearing a chemise underneath the corset. And then she's got the corset under the skirt. She would wear what are called like drawers, uh, or,
Bloomers,
pardon me,
bloomers.
like kind of like a bloomers. Yeah, stockings, and then the garters would be attached to the corset. And then over that, she would wear a petticoat, probably some type of bum pad, bum roll, and then possibly another overskirt and then skirt. So it depends on how it is, but probably in this case, just the skirt. And then over that, she'd wear the bodice and then a jacket of some type, like she usually wears, and then her hat and gloves and neck scarf or something. She sometimes wears like a little she always has like some kind of tie or scarf or that type of thing.
Definitely a tie.
Yeah, she's sort of
She
a
likes the
tie girl.
masculine. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was definitely the fashion for sure.
So Plexi was asking about the bra in that situation. Probably no such thing.
No,
I mean, as
no,
far
no,
as
no,
what we know it
no,
today,
no bras. They didn't have
just
bras
to me.
until like I think the late tens, early 20s. And even then, it wouldn't be really a bra. Like it would be kind of like a kind of like a foundation garment with like a built-in type of bra. But no, this would just have gone just just to the top of your bust kind of thing, or just slightly below,
I
actually.
was going to say below. Yeah.
Yeah, just slightly below. So I can't really even tell here. You can see you could just see the top of her chemise there. So I did a play years ago. It was really fun. It was about this dressmaker in New York, which at the same time. So it was like in New York. She was a dressmaker for very wealthy families, but she was a black woman. Um, and sort of same idea, with the divide, the social divide, and so her clients would have been these very, very high end women, and the play was called. Oh, Tatiana knows about this because we've talked about it. It was called Intimate Apparel, and so we had to recreate all these period garments, like the chemises and the garters and the so we had a special person do all the corsets for us, and it was crazy, like the amount of work that goes into it. It's multiple layers that go into the corsets. And then on top of that, then we would decorate them. They get like all kinds of lace put on top of them. So even though they'd be wearing them underneath, they would be completely covered with all kinds of laces and trims and so on. So Sarah's wearing a very, very simple one here, as you can see. Oh, I love Libby Hatch's clothes. I don't have very many pictures of her, unfortunately, though, because I don't know why. There's nothing really online. I know I didn't take a huge amount of time. So John, she wears this, like, this is sort of her nurse's uniform, I believe, on the right. And then you can see she's got the buttons. Like that's something I thought was always really clever. So they would put buttons on the uniform, and then the apron would button onto the uniform. And then,
Keep it
when you
fitted
need to
better.
launder it, you would just unbutton it and then throw it in the laundry. And I thought that was very clever. And then her collar, it should be detached. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it actually is. But so, that idea of the white nurse's uniform didn't come in until quite a bit later. Actually, if you watch shows like Upstairs or Downton Abbey, they do a really good job of like what a nurse's uniform would have looked like, sort of turn of the century, into, First World War, that type of thing.
That's just
So,
because of the speed of laundry and that sort of thing, right?
well, I'm assuming that the things like the sleeve, they would wear like sleeve covers that would go over top of their dresses to here, and then they wear the aprons and then the caps, or the veil or whatever, and then that could get laundered. Whereas you probably wouldn't launder your dress every day, and then your undergarments would get laundered. So your chemises and your bloomers and your petticoats, that type of thing would get
Stockings.
laundered, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't probably launder your dresses every day. I don't know if they wore pit shields. Like there's this thing called pit shields,
Sure.
which can button into your clothes. So it's possible they did do that as well for the underarms.
They were Velcroed back then.
They were Velcroed. Yeah, so they could be buttoned in or whatever. So it's possible that they did. Working women might have done that as well. So it would have
Sure.
just been like hand washing was a huge,
Time
endeavor,
suck.
unless you're in a big household, right?
Exactly.
Tatiana says, yeah, I more or less learned about corsets and stays in my costume department of my alma mater, she's saying. Tatiana knows a lot. She knows a lot about costumes, and a lot of it is because she's been hanging out with me, right, Tatiana? And we talk about costumes like a lot.
Yeah.
Plexibur Chan says, oh, I just see the corset. Had to turn up my monitor.
That was in the previous picture.
Yeah. That's I think there is one scene in season 1 where we see her getting dressed, but I don't have that picture, unfortunately. So there it is. And it's probably not very high res, but here's a full screen view of it, guys. Yeah,
What's
it's
it,
not
the
super
mirror
high
shot?
res.
Yeah.
So it's laced at the back, and then I think she's lacing it in the front, and that's how she's tightening it herself, is by doing it in the front.
So let me ask you this. Who do you think had the best costume for the period in this show, in this season?
Oh my God. Well, I think I probably one of my favorite ones. Do I even have a picture of it? This is last season, but I think her formal dress this season was probably one of my favorites. Do you remember
Wow.
that when they go to that ball? Here
Mm-hmm.
she is, by the way, with
They're
all.
all being watched by the
Yes,
by the villain. Mm-hmm.
that was probably. I unfortunately I don't think I have a picture of it. Yeah. Um, I'm just scrolling through to see. Do you have a favorite?
Mine is actually the villain this year, and it's not the fact that there's one specific. Yeah, that one.
I mean, yeah, the one on the left here that she's wearing, the black one.
It's not that it's not a specific costume. It's the fact that she goes through different stages, and that kind of her dress deteriorates as the show goes on.
That's
Until
excellent. That's excellent costuming.
it's to me that was the best presentation, I thought.
Yeah, like because I mean, Violet, I think they did a good job with her. There is something a little off with her, and I'm not quite sure. It might be her makeup. There's something that just feels a little bit contemporary to me,
Well,
or
she's
maybe
supposed to
that.
be very wealthy, and if you look at her hair on both scenes,
Yeah,
it looks out of place.
and also she's probably too tanned. I think that might be the other thing that's setting me, like, throwing me off. Like, she would always have, had a hat on and a parasol.
Carousel, right?
She would never have let her skin get tanned like that. So yeah, there's something a little off about that. But I enjoyed that they did put her on in violet. The men's costumes, I think Laszlo's are probably my favorite. He has one coat. It's got that sort of wool shirling on the collar. I like lamb's wool on the collar. I think his stuff is just impeccable. Like here, for instance, you can see this is a throwback to sort of the 1700s, early or 18th century. We see the buttons sort of like they're not used for anything; they're just complete decoration, and then they have like a nice facing. Usually, it's sort of like a moire fabric or something. Even his waistcoat looks like it's got that sort of watermark kind of thing. Just everything in the pin, just everything is just to the tens. The collar is on his coat is like velvet, like you said. And then just the way he carries himself in the costume, which is half of it,
Mhm.
really.
Absolutely.
We were talking about that last night. one of the things I had a little bit of an issue with, and it was just a small little thing regarding Lovecraft Country, is there were a couple of really wealthy characters in the show, but I thought their suits looked really kind of ill-fitting, which was just didn't work for me because I thought, well, if they're so so wealthy, they should be everything should be tailored, and they would have it tailored, and that's what would have happened here. Like Laszlo, even though he is an immigrant, he has there's money, like you can see the money, and he dines out every night, which would be very expensive. The fact, and you have to dress up, and he goes whenever he goes out to dine, right? He's
Plus, you have to have
always
a
he's always
retinue
in
of
tails.
three or
Sorry?
four people. You have to have 3 or 4 people with you, right? Can't dine alone.
Yes. So yeah. So he's always in like a tie and tails, which is the most formal of, formal clothes for a person of this time. And only the wealthy would have this. And, it's not like nowadays where you just rent it. No, they would own it. So he has to have a set of clothes.
Yeah.
And clothes in those days were expensive because they would have been made for you.
He always has a great carriage too.
Oh,
Being
yes.
a horse guy, I just love the that part of the story. It's very authentic. The
I think they shot in
harnesses
Prague.
and oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's what I was reading. And they like created sort of this Victorian New York in Prague. It's very well done, especially the
It's so green
slummier
screen
areas.
that I'm surprised that it would need to be on location, other than the fact that they would have to film it somewhere.
I think they might get like a tax credit, like sort of
Mhm.
how Game of Thrones gets a tax credit for shooting in Ireland, or maybe Lord of the Rings in New Zealand. I think I've heard of a lot of shows being shot in Prague. And then maybe they hire some of the local crews, which might save them a bit of money as well.
They definitely used to film a lot in Seattle in the 90s and early 2000s, and then because of the tax breaks, they moved everything to Vancouver, and then obviously they moved on since then. So it makes
Yeah,
total
well, it
sense.
kind of in Canada it kind of dipped, right, and then like our dollar, it's so cheap here because this is what happens. So when our dollar goes down, they want to shoot here, but when it goes back up, they want to go back to the States. So like right now, there's quite a few shows that are being done in Toronto, and even like it was funny because I was watching, what was it that Jack and I were watching, and it had Georgia because a lot of shows are done in Georgia. So, but then it had Ontario and Quebec also. So I was like, oh, that's weird. But Jack says it might be that they're doing, sometimes they do post production stuff in Canada. So they'll shoot it in the States and then it'll come to Canada for post production. Yes, who here is liking Lovecraft Country? Asks Lady Starfall. She says, I have not seen it, but is it worth it to watch? Yes, it's absolutely worth it. And if Tony's still here, he'll tell you. Tony is actually Tony Teflon, the Dawn, does an after show every week about
Yeah.
Lovecraft Country. And then the Creative Skill, which is me and Rebecca and John, we are doing a show every Tuesday on the Creative Skill channel talking about it. So there's only been 2 episodes, so you haven't missed much yet. So where else should we go about this, John, about the show?
Well, I think we've talked pretty much about everything that I would want to talk about. Um, I just encourage everybody that's on this broadcast to watch, all 18 episodes, because it's worth it. Um, Even if we did spoil everything for you.
Yeah, and now, is there any talk about a season 3?
Well, I haven't heard anything yet, but I haven't heard anything bad about season 2 yet. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Well,
imagine
yeah, they
it not.
clearly have said it. I mean, okay, let's put it this way. If they didn't do a season 3, it probably would be fine to end where it is, but it does feel like they are,
Saying goodbye.
I was going to say they are setting, it feels to me like they might be setting some things up for next season. So
I think they set it up where it could go either way, and
it
we
could
would
go
be
either way.
happy because with Sarah possibly being pregnant, um, with their one encounter, and then Violet claiming she's pregnant,
Well, that's
which
the other thing. Is
I
it a
don't
Cersei
believe.
Lannister thing? Is it, she's saying she's pregnant, but is she really, because they have the one night as well, which kind of caught me off guard. And She was wearing a corset without a chemise underneath it, which is like historians hate that. Now it's possible she took all her clothes off and then put the corset over top, but I don't know.
Yeah, she seems to be savvy enough to fake the pregnancy,
Hmm.
or at least
Yeah.
try to fake the pregnancy.
Yeah, but she does seem to really love him. It's just that, like, compared to Sarah, like they have so much in common, right? I mean, they're going out on these jaunty adventures together. They're going on stakeouts, Victorian stakeouts.
Very true. There's definitely a connection, a long-term bond. As creepy as it is, yeah.
Hmm. Um, Leanna's saying, "Well, I've heard people saying there's no more books to adapt, so they would be in their own territory."
This is one of those shows that you don't need. I mean, they've got the foundation for everything they need, kind of like Deadwood when
Hmm.
they did the 3 seasons for that. They didn't all they had really was uh, Wild Bill getting shot with aces and eights, and the trial. So they could have developed any kind of a story for this. It's crime, so CSI, New York, 1920.
Yeah, Lady Starfelt says she doesn't think that she's pregnant. She said she sensed that John was pulling away, so she has a plan. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and
definitely.
also any of the threats, or if you want to call them threats from Hearst, he's like, I'm expecting you to do this. He kind of ignores everything. I expect you to be at dinner tonight. No, it's not there. Like, or he leaves.
That's
We're just about to play, but we're just about to play headbands. What's that game they were playing? I was like, I turned to Jack. I'm like, that's headbands.
He's definitely not someone that you want to say no to, because it short term he might be able to get away with stuff, but long term he'll be shut down in his career or something like that. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Speaking of the newspaper, one of the things that I really loved, which I'd never seen before, and it's probably true, are the giant like chalkboards outside of the newspaper where they put the headlines, like the
Right.
daily headlines. Isn't that fun?
I i i think it's very authentic all the way around,
Hmm.
from the street scenes to the lavish parties. Every single thing that they show in detail has been great.
Yeah. Okay, so before we wrap up, do you want to talk, like, because I made Tony do this with me. Do you want to talk a little bit about the House of the Dragon? Or
um
do you want to come on another stream and we'll do it and you can go eat?
well, I don't care about eating. Trust me, if you saw me you'd know that I don't miss too many meals. But seriously, I'm not up to date on probably what you would want to talk about. So
Sure. There's really nothing going on except that there has been some chatter about casting. Well, first of all, are you excited about a prequel Game of Thrones show? Because I'm not sure if I've even talked to you about this.
I am. I'm not as thrilled about the Targaryens as obviously George R. R. Martin is. Um, I've never been a Danny fan until probably halfway
Oh my
through the
God, John,
season.
you're saying
Uh,
that on my show?
well,
I'm just kidding.
I'm saying it wasn't until she said Dracarys that I even liked her,
Okay.
and then I developed an appreciation for her, and obviously what they did to her was a shame. But um, I'm I liked I like Westeros much more than I do the Targaryen history. So I was really looking forward to um, the First Men storyline,
Yeah.
much more than I was
Like an
this
Age
one.
of Heroes or something.
Correct, correct.
You know what I think would have been really fun is if they had done Dunk and Egg. I think that
Well,
that would have been a really fun show to do.
I did an episode with somebody else about Dunkin' Egg, and basically I was saying that because of Heath Ledger's Knight's Tale,
Yep.
it's almost a similar story. So although it's Westeros, it still has the same plot line. So it would be very hard to, I think, produce.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, okay, so but you're not like overly excited because it's going to be Targaryens, but the rumor is that I said it's supposed to be about the Civil War, the Dance of the Dragons. So, how do
Right.
you feel about that particular storyline being done? Which is,
Well,
I was
like,
saying to Tony, is like a very sad story in many, many ways.
mhm. One of the reasons why a lot of people didn't like Avatar, the movie, is because there's so much non-real acting, and I think that's what's going to happen in this. Is there's going to be so much dragon riding and dragon training and dragons in the show that that's going to be more of the focus as far as the producers go, and it's going to take away from the um, real story of the writing that George has produced, and that's my biggest fear.
Okay, yeah. And also, we don't really know anything about it. Like there's still so little, and with COVID and so on, I don't know if it was Rebecca who was saying this to me, like something like this, we probably won't even see anything until maybe 2022. Because I think just some of the production companies are now just getting back up to running.
Hmm.
Even like my husband, I think this John, he does AV and he's still not really working quite well. Yeah, I think things are just starting to open up. Hey, Hindsight says, how are you? Says, was the prequel to Game of Thrones starring Naomi Watts canceled because of the backlash of the series finale? That's not my understanding. Do you know anything about that, John? John, do you know anything about what Hindsight's
Um,
asking?
yeah, I was just reading the question again to
Oh,
make sure I
sorry, my
understood
dear.
it. No, 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 no. So basically, the reason why is because the producers of the show said, "Hey, you already have this book, right? Fire and Blood. Let's use that as our foundation. Whereas if we went into the Age of Heroes, you've got to start all over from scratch. Guess what? We've already been down that road. We don't want that. So at least you have a head start on Fire and Blood with Age of the
Yeah,
Dragon.
and then I guess probably they ordered a pilot, uh, and
Yeah,
then maybe when they looked at it, it just didn't work. Because I mean, even Game of Thrones was terrible the pilot, but they did a do over, and
I would love to see that. By the way,
oh, it'd be so. You mean
I've
the
seen
old Game of Thrones, like the
the very
original
first episode.
pilot,
Yeah,
with the different cast and everything? Because the actress who plays, who apparently
Cersei.
played Catelyn Stark, is a great actor. Like I loved her. I can't
Right.
remember her name though. And then the girl who was supposed to play Dany was on The Tudors. She's been in a bunch of stuff as well. So it would have been interesting to see how they would have done it differently. What I heard about Dany though is that she looked too much like a child, and that was disturbing because even though in the books she's what 14 when she's married off to Khal Drogo, in the show they had to age her up, right? They
Sure.
aged all the characters up because it would have just looked really like gross to have a 14-year-old
It was
coming out of
bad
a
enough as it
pool,
was sometimes, you know,
stepping out of a pool or like a hot tub and then in naked.
literally.
But
Yeah.
apparently, yeah, she had like a childlike body, so they're like, "Oh, we gotta Jennifer Eel, thank you, yes, and Tamsin Merchant. You guys always know the answers. See, if I don't have anything, if I don't have it written down, as they say, if it's not on the page, it's not on the stage. So, which
I
is why I have to label everything.
the part where uh, John was alive, I thought was the best scene as far as the first episode goes, where he's talking about why Liza would want to kill him. Uh, that was the part that the scene that I really liked in the first episode of um, before they cut it and redid it, where he's
Oh,
just
okay,
laying on
yeah.
the coffin. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it. Someone's got to get that episode, like find it. Lady Starfish says, thanks for a great stream, Caution Co and AU. Good night, everyone. Stay well and stay safe until the next one. Oh, that's so nice. I just want to let you guys know that this is actually, like, I decided to do this little series. Sorry, John, I'm hiding your face there.
That's okay.
Doing this. So this is what I was like. Sorry, John, you have to lift your head up a bit. This is I did this little series just over the summer. Thought it would be fun. So John's sort of like my anchor. He's like finishing it off. Like this is the finale for this little series. Because Jack, my husband, says to me the other day, why do you keep making so much more work for yourself? Like, I'm really busy. Like, I'm working through my lunch. I'm working at night. I'm working like before I go to bed. And he's like, but it's of your own doing. And I'm like, I know, I've got to do cut back a bit. So I said, no, I'm ending this series, but then on Tuesdays I'm going to do the Creatives Guild, and then hopefully put out some other content. But John, before we go, I've got your contact info in the description, but do you want to let everyone know what you have coming up on your channel, if you have something coming up on your channel, where people can find you and so on?
Yeah, I've really been working on other people's channel much more than I have on my own, and that's pretty much been going on for about a year now. Like on Friday, I'll be doing a Tolkien talk with John St. Baptiste, which is one of my favorite genres
awesome.
as far as books go, and he's got a great couple of chapters that we're going to cover. But as far as my channel goes, I'll probably be doing some more Tolkien. Also, I really enjoyed the conversation I had with Justin on Patrick Rothfuss's series, and I'm expecting that book, the third book, to drop at any second. So I'll be covering that quite a bit. And then you mentioned the last time we were on about Dune, and
yes,
I'm going to be doing a live stream from Dune Park here in Tacoma, that was named after Frank, because he used to live here. He's from here, so
that's
Frank
very
Herbert
cool.
from the author.
Are you looking forward to that movie, the Denis Villeneuve version?
Oh, absolutely. Anything that they can do to erase the old one, definitely.
I have to
Absolutely.
say though, I rewatched it recently, and the costumes were really interesting in that movie. I like the costumes. But the quality, like they just didn't. Well, I mean, there's lots of issues, but they did also just on a technological, they didn't have the technology to pull off what they were trying to do, I guess.
Yeah, the
But I'm not
writing
a Dune expert.
wasn't good.
But like just as far as visual storytelling, I thought it was really good, and a lot of it was interesting as well.
Yeah, it's very good.
Did you ever see Excalibur years ago?
Yes,
Yeah.
total reason why I watched all of Cursed was
Oh
because
yeah,
of that, because I
because
wanted it to.
the original all Excalibur that kind of reminds me of it. It's sort of the same time period, I think, right? When they were doing how they did medieval. It sort of has that medieval feel to it, even though Dune's sort of more science fiction.
Total sense.
What did you think of Curse, by the way? I had Tony talking about it with me a couple of weeks ago.
I just want to say I appreciate the effort. I really think that they fell short in the casting, the screenplay, the costumes.
You didn't like that denim corset she wore there?
I didn't.
But it looked like it was. It would look like it was a pair of jeans that had been slashed and then it's kind of laid on top of this corset thing on the main female character,
You
Nimue.
heard what I said about Penny Dreadful, the
Hmm.
LA one. This was worse than that. Curse was.
Wow.
Um, and like I said, I appreciate the fact that they went through the effort. I love the people that are covering it on YouTube. Don't get me wrong. I didn't care for it.
It
The
wasn't your
Arthurian
thing, yeah.
legends are near and dear to my heart, kind of like Tolkien and the other stuff, because I've liked it longer. So
Hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. So Say My Name says the 86 caliber with Helen Mirren and Robert Addy is absolutely gorge.
yeah, how could you
So
go wrong with Helen Mirren? I mean,
yeah,
that
yeah. Well, John, I snuck into that movie. Well, no, I don't want to say I snuck into it. I wasn't of age. Like you had to be 14. So
of
I
course you're
somehow
only 10 now. So
yeah.
how could
So I somehow got in, and but which is so funny because by today's standards, really, it's not that. It's not that bad. But when I remember Dune, when I saw that, because when I went to rewatch it, I was like, oh, I remember that scene where she sticks his hand in that thing and he's like screaming. Ah! I totally remember that. And the lady with like the shaved head and just like there were some things that really, and of course, Virginia Madsen, who I've always thought is the most beautiful woman in the world, plays the daughter, right? And she's sort of in an Elizabethan gown. So
More
I
beautiful
remember.
than Helen Mirren.
Oh yeah, Virginia Madsen. Are you kidding?
Wow.
Oh my God, Virginia Madsen. I always thought was the most beautiful woman ever.
Okay.
She's. Uh, I say she would probably rival. I don't know. There's a couple of women who I think are. So Virginia Madsen for me has always been. She's in. Oh, I'll have to get back to you about it. Some other things that she's been in. Oh no, it's not. Is it
She's
Virginia
pretty, but
Madsen?
she's not. Yeah, I don't think so.
No, it's not
She's
Virginia Madsen.
she's pretty, but she's not Helen Mirren pretty.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess my taste is different than yours.
We'll leave it at that. How's that?
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, I think we've covered everything. What I have coming up, I talked about the directors or the Creatives Guild Tuesday, and then I have one more of my prequel characters' costumes coming out. This one is going to be on the A Song of Ice and Fire book, characters not in the show. So which I think is going to be a really big list. I'm kind of terrified to do this, but it's going to be the characters that weren't in the TV show but are still alive in the books, like people like who's somebody except like see, I can't even think of it off the top of my head right now. Sorry guys. Well, you have to wait for the video.
I was gonna say
Balon Greyjoy. No, not Balon. Somebody else. It's another character.
tune in.
Tune in.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that, you guys. Sorry, this is what happens when you work all day and then you do a live stream after
3 hours. Yeah.
for 3 hours. Well, actually, we haven't gone that long, so it's not so good. Okay, so John, anything else you want to say before we head out?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. It's a real pleasure working with you. You're just always incredibly nice, incredibly knowledgeable, so professional. I just really enjoy it, and I just have a great deal of appreciation for you inviting me when you do.
Well, John, you are always welcome to come on, and you're one of my favorite guests. I love having you so much. And I was saying to you before we went on that you actually really give me energy. I always feel like more energized after. And Plexi Bertrand's asking how my book is coming. Uh-oh. Well, it's almost done, and I hopefully will finish it. Yeah, it's my Game of Thrones costume book, which is awful that I haven't finished it. But just a lot of stuff came up, and so
It's awesome that you're doing it.
yeah, I'll still do it. I'm still going to do it. So my friend Patrick did all the illustrations, and they're gorgeous. Like there's like 150 of them, so I have to get it out because it's just
That's
like
amazing.
it'll be a waste if I don't get it out. And Patrick will probably not talk to me again, if I don't get it out eventually. So. Thank you so much, everybody who came. So say my name and Lady Starfall and Linda R, who was here all last night as well. Thank you so much. Bernie L, Angel Over. Who else am I missing here? Hindsight POV. I think I got all of you. Hopefully, if I didn't, I apologize. So again, and we'll see you soon.
Tony Teflon was here.
Oh, and Tony.
Yeah.
If I didn't get you, I apologize. Thanks a lot, guys. Oh, and also next week when we do our thing, I'm gonna do a giveaway. So I'm either gonna give away. Here, I'm gonna get it. I'm doing a giveaway next week. So it's either gonna be one of my Costume Co mugs. You're either gonna get that. Look at that, huh? It's probably worth a whole $10.
Nice.
Or one of my Costume Co shirts. So you have to come. We're gonna do a fun giveaway. It'll probably be a trivia or something fun like that. So make sure you pop in next week. And even if you haven't seen Lovecraft Country, you can just come and hang out because we like to talk about it. And also we might make cocktails. I might I've been making these little sort of
Nice.
cherry.
Nice.
You know what happened was we did a True Blood one, and I just put some beads to make it look like True Blood. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave those in my set
Very good.
because it's kind of fun, Okay, guys, thank you so much. Have a great evening. Take care. Oh, bye, Roger. Roger just got here. We're just finishing up. Roger, take care.
Thanks, Heidi. Thanks, everybody.